This is my military macaw, Loki. Welcome to the Techno label Detroit Berlin. I'm Frederick and welcome to MODTECH'S Modular Corner. Today we will take a look at my live performance rig, which I'll use in my modular live sets with MODTECH. If you want to be notified when upcoming videos get published, please hit the bell button and subscribe. Let's take a look at my setup. This is my MODTECH live performance rig. It consists of two 9-unit high 84 HP wide cases from Dover. So in total these are 9 units high and 168 HP wide. If we take a look at the left case, I have some sequencers, two analog and trigger sequencers from Dover, and the Acid Lab Autobot, which is a 303 style sequencer. I have a voice with two oscillators, a mixer and an ADSR, with the ripples filter from Mutable Instruments, and then it will be routed through the color palette, which has a high pass, a low pass and a distortion effect in it. This will go into the performance mixer from WMD, which will take care of all mixing, and it will be sent out with an insert of the stereo compression bus from also WMD, and then to the output from the performance mixer. I send it to the compressor because otherwise in a live setting, when pushing levels, I won't be able to tweak them as much as in the studio. So to prevent ugly distortion on the master out, I route it through the stereo compressor. Then to take a look at the sequencers, I have one quad drum voice from vpme.de, and the corresponding colors, I put some colored knobs on these sequencers. The corresponding colors will affect the corresponding drum voices on there. The triggers in downward position will trigger the modules, and in up position they will trigger different things. Let's take a look at the clocking, and everything will be clocked with the ERM MIDI clock, and it will go to the USB MIDI sync device from Dover with all these clocks, start, stop and reset. It will be fed into this switch multiple, which then will distribute all clock and reset signals. Also have multiples here, so that will take most care of all the syncing. One thing you don't want to experience is losing sync while performing, so this is all very tight together. I will also make sure that my routing of my cables is very open, not like those spaghetti modular systems with hanging cables everywhere. That's good if you're patching constantly, but with this setup I will just route everything and I will do minimal patching, because in a live setting I want to tweak knobs. I have a lot of knobs, I have a lot of switches. I need to take care of the performance mixer to mix all these signals and make sure everything stays in tune. I have enough variation and progression through my live setup, so I really don't want to be hitting cables and losing sync or be busy with other issues, solving stuff. So yeah, taking a look at the left side, mostly are sequencers, one audio out which will go into the multiple with the Ethernet connection. I will keep most triggers and CV signals going into this one, coming out of this module. It's a great way to set up things in a quick manner. So if I arrive at a gig, then I just take these two cables, put them in my modular, and yeah, 14 different routings are connected without too much hassle. So it's a great way to connect two cases. They're nice because they're very portable. If I put everything in a big case, the weight will be immense. So I have these sequencers, then I have a Zularic repetitor from Noise Engineering and a grid from Mutable Instruments. These are trigger sequencers, drum triggers. I have the Matrix sequencer from TipTop, and this will do most of the variations in pitch or in other CV related stuff. I will route one of those trigger sequencers to the clock, so I have a very rhythmical change in CV control. If I would just route a normal clock to this input, it will be very static, it will be very much of a repetition thing, and I want to create some variation. The drum patterns will be very repetitive, but I want the variations in pitch and in tone and in stuff, in filtering. I want that to be, yeah, more not exactly random, but more in a rhythmic kind of way and not as sterile as you would have one loop going and just tweak some knobs. I will have a lot going on. Yeah, these are the trigger sequencers. They will be routed to the Mutant BD9 from Hex Inverter, the Basimilus Iteritas from Noise Engineering, and the Ataraxic Translatron also from Noise Engineering, which will be fed into the Synclastic Capulator from Noise Engineering, which is kind of an AD envelope generator and amplifier in one. It will be very simple sounds coming out of this one, like hi-hats, percussive, metallic sounds. And then the Basimilus Iteritas, it will be more like a complex texture to these kind of drum or bass or synthesizer hits. Then the Pico drums from Erica Synths, 2 drum channels, and yeah, very simple module. But when I need a clap or a snare or something in a quick manner, I can select it and I will have it at my fingertips. The precision adder will be doing some nice interval changes to the Basimilus Iteritas and the Ataraxic Translatron. And then I have a big voice, the quad drum voice from vpme.de. It's brand new. I got it just like a week ago. I haven't delved into it yet, but I will in a few days. Especially with the lockdown, I will have some time to get into this module because there are 4 drum voices, and the way I have this setup, or I will route things, is they will be triggered by the analog trigger sequencer, and the corresponding colors from the knobs, I put those on. They will correspond to the same colors, so I have a visual oversight, and when I'm tweaking things, I know what I'm doing just by looking at it. It's a complex system with many voices and many different routings, so everything I can do to make it easier to play and know in a few weeks what everything does, then I'm proving myself a favor, because it's complex and it's easy to forget what things are routed what way. These are all voices. I also have the rings, the resonator module, very weird module. It's kind of tricky. One time you have a great sound, then you turn a knob and the sound is gone. It will be mostly on cue on my mixer, and when I have a nice sound, I just mix it in to get some variation and some progression. It will be routed through the filter from Pittsburgh Modular. Very nice Mogi filter, very nice one. The Basimilus and the Ataraxic from Noise Engineering will be routed through the Sarah VCF from DynSync. Nothing but positives for this filter. It's very raw, it's very almost noisy, but it works wonders when you like pushing the resonance and sending like drum sounds through this. It's amazing. It glues everything together, and it's a raw, great, nice textured sound that's coming out of this module. Then I have the analog replicator and the Verbtronic from Pittsburgh modular also. I'm not routing anything into the analog replicator. I'm just like making feedback loops and just pushing. It's a delay kind of unit, an analog delay, so I'm really pushing the feedback that it begins to make all these different kind of screaming sounds, and it will be routed through the Verbtronic, which will add a nice atmosphere. Afterwards I route it to the Polaris from IntelliGel, and that's just to give it a high pass, because otherwise I can muddy up things with the low end coming out of these modules. Quick overview: I have the Mutant BD9 909 style kick drum, Basimilus Iteritas, Ataraxic Translatron, Pico drums, quad drum voice from vpme.de, and then a bass synthesizer with 303 style sequencing, the Ripples filter. I have the rings and a lot of filters and other ways to shape my sound. Then the performance mixer. It has an insert of the WMD stereo compressor. I really need this to avoid ugly distortion at the master bus. So everything audio-wise will be routed here, and I have a lot of control. I also have an insert with the RT60 from Qubit, and that's an effects module. I really don't like this unit too much, but for the moment it fits my case, and it's nice to add some atmosphere to some drum sounds to give it more a coherent atmospheric feeling. Not really fond of this unit. The quality of the sound is not that great, but it will do the trick for now. The output is the IntelliGel stereo out. Then I have the ERM MIDI clock, which will be fed into the USB MIDI sync interface. And yeah, I have tried other sequencers, trigger or MIDI sequencer than these ones, like for instance the complex sequencer from Coma Electronics or the IntelliGel Metropolis, but they all didn't work that well with the ERM and the Dofer clock signals, and especially the reset signals. Because one thing I don't want to take in account when I'm performing is having to deal with sync issues. It has to work perfectly. It's a lot to take into account when performing live. I want to be able to tweak drum sounds, search for sounds, and mixing things in and tweaking pitches or other CVs and doing rhythmic stuff, and not worry too much about the rest. So my performance is as best as possible. I want to do a great performance, so that's my priority. Don't want any issues with the modular. I just want to go and have a great time. The way I will route and patch this system is that everything is very accessible. Don't want to bump into cables or pull some cables out when performing live by accident. I will do another episode on the cable management, but for now this is the overview of what's in my system and how I perform with it. I will do like a live performance when guiding you through all these sounds and things and the way how this sounds and works. But for now, this is, yeah, just a brief overview. I also use one or two drum computers with this system just to, yeah, have like a backup when something breaks down. I can, yeah, just do the whole performance on these drum computers, or when they break down, I have the modular system. It's fully capable. It has synthesizer voices, bass, high-pitched sounds, many percussive elements, a kick, everything I can do on this system. I can do a whole set on this system, an hour and a half. It's very intense to perform with this, so I rather do 1 hour and a half and then call it quits, because it will be a great performance, and when I will do performances of 3 hours, I will be lost after 2 hours and people will lose interest. So it's a very complex but effective modular system. And yeah, I would say see you next episode when I will be doing the cable management. And yeah, thanks for watching and see you next time. Ja. Jij wilt het liefst in beeld, hè? Wilde jij anders in uitleg doen? Hè? Wilde jij anders in uitleg doen?